Hi everybody, this is Mr. Page here, and I'm going to talk to you today about moving from a single paragraph composition to a multiple paragraph essay. In English 145, we started with a single paragraph, which means you're already familiar with the parts of a paragraph. A topic sentence that includes introducing your topic and your opinion, then supporting details using examples and details to explain why you have that opinion, and then a concluding statement that sort of reminds your reader what your opinion is and looks to the future. The good news is that a multiple paragraph essay is essentially the same, just with more added to it. So let's take a look at how that works. You still have a beginning, middle, and end. In the beginning, you just need to let the reader know what are you talking about and what's your opinion. In the middle, you provide evidence and support to help back up your opinion. Remember that you always need to explain to somebody why you have an opinion. This makes you seem more like a credible source and less like a crazy person. At the end, you're going to remind your reader what your topic and your opinion is. Remember, the reader might forget because you've given such great examples and used so much detail in the middle that they need to be reminded before you finish things up. Let's look at how this is done in a multiple paragraph essay. Basically, what you have here is the introduction. See? It's just like a topic sentence, only bigger. You're going to outline the scope, identify the purpose, orient the reader, and state your thesis. Remember that the thesis is your argument. That's your opinion about the topic. The body is going to turn into 3 separate paragraphs, starting each one with a topic sentence. This topic sentence can actually be exactly the same as your 3 supporting details from a single paragraph. The conclusion is going to restate your thesis and summarize your entire argument. So as you can see, the basic steps are the same. You're just going to go a little more in-depth into each part of it. Let's look at an example to make it a little more clear. Okay, so here's an example of a paragraph. This is a pretty good single paragraph essay. So you might want to pause the video to take a second to read it because I'm not going to have time to read each part of it to you here. But what you want to look at is that we've color-coded each part. At the top, in black, we have the topic sentence. It also includes the thesis statement, right, that you're going to eventually use for your multiple paragraph essay. Here's the opinion. Then in red, we have our first supporting detail, in blue, the second support, and in green, the final support. Then at the very end, in black again, we have the conclusion that restates what we set up here. So, like I said, press pause for a second to read this over because it's a good example, and then when you're ready, press play and we'll start taking a look at how to move it into a multiple paragraph essay. Okay, so we have the same exact single paragraph to the left, right here. Now we're going to look at how to take each part and turn it into its own paragraph, starting with the topic sentence. Here's the thesis that we're going to use for our multiple paragraph essay. Most people go to college to better their lives both financially and personally. So here we know what the topic is, why people go to college, and we also know that the opinion of the author is that it benefits their lives financially and personally. Now, to turn it into a whole paragraph, we'll basically keep the same parts, but also add to it. As you can see here, we put the thesis close to the bottom of the first paragraph. This is not the only way to do it, but it's one really good way to do it. Because now, up here, we can introduce the idea very thoroughly. Take a second to maybe pause the video and read this paragraph as well, because this is a really good example of all the things an introductory paragraph can do. It lets the reader know what you're talking about, explains why you're talking about it, why you're qualified to talk about it, and then, after we have the opinion right here, it sort of gives you a preview of the 3 main points that you're going to talk about. So like I said, press pause for a second and read this for yourself. Now let's talk about the first body paragraph. Here you can see we have our first point. Many people go to college to make more money. Well, now we're going to take this point and expand it to make an entire paragraph on its own. The first sentence is going to be exactly the same. That part's easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill this up with enough supporting details, evidence, and examples to make it very persuasive to whoever's reading it. Remember, your goal here is to get people to agree with you. So you want to include a lot of things. Here, for example, we have an example. Isn't that nice? We used someone we knew to give people an illustration of how this works. Take a second to read the rest of this paragraph and see if you can figure out what parts were added and if you think that they really help the argument or not. Now we have the second paragraph. Once again, start off with just putting that first sentence right here as the topic sentence for your third paragraph, which is your second body paragraph. Once again, the same exact thing is here, and then we've added a bunch of detail and examples in here to try to make it very persuasive. Press pause for a second to take a look at everything we've added. And let's take a look at our third body paragraph. So remember, in red, blue, and green are all the reasons why this author feels that most people go to college to better their lives financially and personally. Here, we're going to take the same first part and make it our topic sentence. Underneath, we're going to explain why this proves that we think this is true. So remember, every topic sentence for your 5 body paragraphs is going to go back to this main thesis. Take a second to look at this paragraph as well and see what we've added. All right, now it's time for the conclusion. We've finished up discussing what our opinion is, why the reader should agree with it, and given examples and details to help back that up. Now we need to finish everything off. So, we're going to have an entire paragraph that begins with the basic conclusion right here. Afterwards, you want to remind the reader of some of the main points you've already talked about. This makes it sound like you really know what you're doing. It makes it sound like you've thought about it and that you have a lot of good reasons for making your opinion known. Remember, you can also end by sort of looking to the future and examining what might happen later with this topic. Take a second to press pause and read this conclusion to see what you think are the most important parts. All right, so now that you've had a chance to look at each paragraph individually, let's put it all together and see what it looks like. Pretty exciting, huh? We've taken one single paragraph right here. It's pretty good, but what we did is we added a lot more information to each part to make it more persuasive. This gives you plenty of time to use examples from your own experience or from readings that you've done and put it all together into a very persuasive argument. This is what writing a multiple paragraph essay is all about. Take a second to look this over and see how it flows together. And also, look at the similarities and differences between a single and a multiple paragraph. You'll find that they're very similar. The differences really are just in how much detail and how many pieces of evidence you can offer. So I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. I know that English is your absolute favorite topic, and I know that you'd be willing to watch this video 100 times over if it were up to you. But since I know you have other things to do, I'll let you get to the actual work.